Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland Reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland, my weekly show where I take a deep dive into a particular film, and we're getting to peak Spielberg in 1993, coming off my Jurassic Park episode now for something completely different and very depressing. Yeah. And we have Schindler's List and Paige, a very frequent collaborator on my channel and a good friend of mine, is here.
Yay, hello.
We just watched 2 movies back to back.
It was a lot. I'm very tired.
Well, to be fair, Schindler's List is 3 hours and 15 minutes, and it's a lot.
And Bullet Train was over 2 hours as well.
Correct.
We've just this is my every Saturday I'm just here watching movies.
It's a fun time.
Yeah, I guess. No, I'm just kidding. Well, it usually is. Today was not, because the Holocaust is not fun.
I don't know what was worse, that or having to watch Nicole Kidman ad for the 1000th time. Obviously the Holocaust movie, but I am very triggered by Nicole Kidman, and every time I go to an AMC, which is a lot. But
multiple times a week. You see that ad multiple times a fucking week, don't you?
Sometimes I see it multiple times a day. That's always fun.
Oh my god.
So, if you haven't tuned in to Welcome to the Wasteland before, we have 3 segments on this show. We start with coming attractions for the week that this releases, which is August 19th. And then we get into our feature film, which I mentioned is Schindler's List. And finally, wrapping up with some recommendations from myself and my co-host for the episode. So, getting things started with coming attractions for August 19th, which, yes, it's August, which means it's not quite summer movie season with a bunch of blockbusters, but a bunch of crap that they probably thought, if we drop it in August, it could probably make some money.
God, that's bleak.
Well, as of right now, after Bullet Train, which is tracking around $30 million at most, nothing is tracking in August of $15 million or more.
Oh my god.
So what that tells me is Top Gun is going to continue to be in the top 5 until the end of August.
What about Bodies? I heard that
it's getting wide release next weekend.
Okay, I'm going this time because I was promised Bodies this weekend.
I was promised.
Actually, we have to go see Bullet Train.
I was promised to release this weekend, but apparently it was only 6 theaters in LA and New York.
Which we're not doing that.
No.
We're going to wait a week.
So I can wait a week to go to an AMC near me and go see Bodies. But we're not talking about the 12th. That's my Jurassic Park episode.
Oh, okay.
We're here to talk about the 19th, which the biggest movie coming out is Idris Elba's movie Beast, which is about him punching a lion.
He punches it?
He punches it at the end of the trailer. The trailer that I've seen.
Oh yeah,
20 times.
You must have seen that.
And it's the same trailer, and it comes out in 2 weeks. They're not releasing a new one. I can guarantee you. They're just we sold it. Idris Elba's in it, and there's lion killing people.
One lion.
It appears.
One lion.
So I don't think they're gonna do any more selling. But
yeah,
Paige, what's your most anticipated film?
Ever?
For the 19th. So. It's called Spin Me Round. Why are you interested in this new Alison Brie comedy?
Oh, is that what this quiz was earlier? Yeah, because I feel like it's throuple season at the movies. Because the Spin Me Round movie is about a throuple. And then what was that movie?
Be. Amsterdam, which is 100% about a throuple.
They're it's 3 friends in World War I. Come on. It's okay.
That's what they said in 19 teens. They're just friends.
Who does that? Who is just oh yeah, we're just 3 friends, 1 woman and 2 men, and we're just buddies and we keep each other safe. Come on.
So Spin Me Round is about a manager of an Olive Garden-esque Italian-American chain restaurant who gets sent to Italy for a manager's training, played by Alison Brie, who winds up catching the attention of the owner of the company, Alessandro Nivola, and his assistant, Aubrey Plaza. Things get hot and steamy with a whole bunch of people. There might even be orgies, but I might not...
What?
But I won't say anything more than that.
He's seen it and I haven't, so I'm only looking forward to it.
This movie is very horny.
Is it out?
It comes out August 19th.
Oh, well, he gets screeners, so he's already seen it.
Yes. So, when this video comes out, it will be out. The easiest way to see it is AMC Plus, because it does come out on that streaming service. It'll probably be in limited theaters. Also, AMC Plus is the worst streaming service, just to put that out.
I've literally never even heard of that.
It started as your way of watching AMC shows. So, like, I got it because I wanted to watch Better Call Saul.
That's on Netflix, isn't it?
No, like, the
new season.
Like, there's 2 episodes left. That's my my Tuesday morning. First thing when I wake up is working out and watching Better Call Saul.
Okay. Healthy.
But it also is a combination of Shudder, IFC, and Sundance all put together. So, like, it has good content. It's just a really terrible platform.
Oh, okay.
It is the clunkiest, dumbest streaming service you'll ever find from a major place like that.
Don't like that.
But you can check out Spin Me Around on it.
I
could just use my sign in.
I know, I'm such a bum. I siphon off of, well, just Hulu, actually. The rest I either pay for or siphon off of other friends.
I pay for everything.
Well, you have to.
Like, all of the services.
What other choice do you have? You don't want to get viruses on your computer by sailing the high seas.
I could go on a whole entire video. I've gotten arguments with my friends Matt and Joe, who are very frequent collaborators on my channel, about piracy. No, I am not a pirate, and I disapprove of any piracy of movies, because if you keep doing that, they won't make them. So
I guess I get that, but also
piracy ruined the Expendables franchise and almost ended it. But somehow
well, that's I don't care that much about that. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to validate you. I'm just saying, it seems like the type of horny horror movies I like are still getting made all the time. So
yeah, because they're cheap.
I'm cheap?
Because they are cheap.
I was like, come on, man.
Horror movies are generally very cheap.
Yeah.
It takes a big name for them to spend a lot of money on a horror movie.
Yeah.
Like, it has to be The Conjuring for them to spend, money on a horror movie like that. They even tried doing it with Dr. Sleep and unfortunately didn't make enough money, but I love that movie.
Really? I hated that. It was dull.
Mike Flanagan is peak horror today. I don't think there's any comparison.
Okay, fine.
It's either him or James Wan. But my pick for August 19th is not a horror movie. It's an anime, because Dragon Ball Superhero comes out, which this is the second straight week I picked an anime, because, animes are cool and crazy and over the top and fun.
Are you a weeb now?
I watch anime.
Are you a weeb, though?
I wouldn't go that
Do you have a body pillow? He's an anime body pillow. I'm gonna go check.
The only pillow that I have in shape of anything is that Grogu downstairs.
Which I always end up holding. Because I'm a toddler.
And Chunk Boy, my Snorlax that you and Jess made at Build-A-Bear.
Aww. Yeah, we love him.
So,
If I show you that picture of me holding him in front of the Cherry Hill Mall fountain, I'll show it to you. It's cute.
Yeah. So, I used to watch Dragon Ball Z when I was a kid a lot. My brother Ethan is a huge Dragon Ball fan. And I look forward to checking it out. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I just feel like there's not a whole lot better choices generally in August. And I feel like this is ripe time for them to be dropping these anime in the middle of August. Because that Demon Slayer movie that released last year made $30 million in one weekend. Which is insane. During a pandemic, all the weebs went out and went to go see the anime movies in theaters.
Hey, whatever works, man. I don't judge.
Up until this point, I am still emailing Ghibli Kids to see if they'll send me a screener of Dragon Ball. They usually do. I've gotten some really good screeners for anime, including The Deer King that came out relatively recently, and then Belle that came out in January, which is still one of the best animated films I've seen all year.
Can I get screeners? What do I have to do to get a screener?
I can tell you after we're done.
Oh, it's secret knowledge. Okay.
I spend a good hour or two every Saturday morning working on reaching out for screeners and stuff like that. I have a system.
Ooh, alright, you heard it here first, kids. I get knowledge that you don't.
Maybe one day I'll make a video, but that's not today because we are here
sorry.
to talk about Schindler's List, which is a much, much heavier topic. Which, Paige, why did you want to come on for the Schindler's List episode?
Are you really going to make me tell you? Fine, alright. So...
Well, you don't have to tell that story.
No, but that's the reason.
Go ahead.
So, like, I like 10 years ago, I heard someone make a joke about, like, oh, they were making out during Schindler's List, which I didn't know was, like, a Seinfeld joke.
I did, because I used to watch Seinfeld every day after school.
Yeah, I didn't know that at the time, and so I was like, wow, it would be so edgy and funny of me to make out with someone during Schindler's List, and I did, and... yeah, it's really not as edgy or cool as I thought it was.
Yeah, I looked away from the screen so I wouldn't cry once, and then I did tear up twice.
I cried, like, multiple times, but no, I was just, like, 19, and I thought I was cool, and it's not cool, but after I told Shane that story, he's like, well, I know which movie I'm assigning you, and it was Schindler's List.
To be fair, I asked her, and she did pick Schindler's List.
No, look, I say assigning, like, he doesn't force me to do this.
I did pick
At
a couple
gunpoint.
people. Like, I wrote a couple people down and didn't even ask them first.
Wow.
Like Matt. When Jurassic Park, I'm like, well, Matt has to come on for that. He's been a dinosaur fan ever since he was a kid, and he used to tell me stories about how he'd act like a dinosaur at school. Matt didn't say that during our video, though. And then, Saving Private Ryan I gave to my friend Heath from Sif Pop because literally on his first interview with me, the first question is, what's your favorite movie? Saving Private Ryan. So I'm like, well, I should probably save that for Heath.
I'll watch anything you tell me to watch.
We had a movie day, and we watched some shit, honestly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Jess and Shane, like, I spend almost every Saturday at the movies with them. They drag me along. I just let them do what they want. It's a good system.
I get a lot of screeners, and a lot of them are not great sometimes. So
it's fun. It's good for you.
This is my third time watching Schindler's List, but I haven't watched Schindler's List in 12 years.
Okay, I don't think I have. I haven't watched it in a long time either.
Because I watched it my junior year of high school because my brother was sick a lot in high school, and especially his last couple of months of high school.
Okay.
And this was a requirement at my high school. Like, you had to watch Schindler's List senior year for history class.
Oddly specific, but okay.
Because we learned about the Holocaust, and like they made us watch Schindler's List. So he had to do it at home since he was out of school, and my mom bought it so that we could watch it, and I watched it. So 17-year-old Shane watching that for the first time, and then I had to watch it again when I was a senior for school, but I haven't watched it since. So this is the first time. I actually didn't even own it until probably last year when I was kind of thinking like, well, if I get Spielberg, like, I just feel like this is the kind of movie that you should have in a collection.
If you're like Shane, then you have a collection.
Yeah, and eventually I would watch it, and it just so happens Spielberg got picked for my tournament last, which I will be starting a new one sometime in September. I'm taking nominations now. So... well,
Jess and I gave the first nomination, so...
yes, they got that honor.
You've already been beat by that guy.
And then I texted my brother, and he got third. So there you go. But this being the third time I've watched it, and haven't watched this since I was a senior in high school, I wasn't sure how I would react watching this after this time, because like it's the kind of movie I haven't watched in 12 years, but remembered every single scene in it. Because this is not the kind of movie you just forget stuff from.
No.
The best example is the one time I did look away because I didn't want to cry. Was they have this really tender moment with a older man who has one arm who wants to like thank Oskar Schindler for bringing him to his factory, and I remembered, oh god, the next scene is when they have all the Jews try to shovel the snow and he can't, and then they shoot him in the head, and I just looked away and knew it was coming, and I couldn't even look at the screen because I'm like, nope, I'm not ready for this. And then I was just tearing at the end when Schindler like breaks down talking about how like he could have saved more. I'm just like...
I cried too. It's okay. Now you're going to make me upset again.
I don't cry a lot. Period.
I cry every day. I love it. No, but...
Like...
It's okay.
Period. I don't.
Crying is okay.
Well, I haven't cried a lot since high school after all the bullying.
Oh, shame.
So, eventually I just stopped crying at most things. And, like, I've only cried in a theater twice.
Which ones? Which movies?
Logan. Because
Fair enough.
that hit me very personally
Aww.
at the end. And then Endgame made me cry. Because Cap got his dance.
Oh, the Marvel? I cry at Marvel movies, but only because they're so bad.
Wow.
No, just kidding. I don't watch Marvel movies.
I had very strong connection. Like, I had been watching them since I was 16 and watched every...
I guess you're right. Yeah, they've been out for
So, like, they meant a lot to me. And Endgame just hit like a sledgehammer because it's just like, oh my God, I've been watching these movies for all these years. But didn't hit as hard as Logan because I'd been watching X-Men films for like 20 years.
Yeah.
And literally based a lot of my look on Wolverine. And then Wolverine had Shane the movie in it. And then I'm like, but I was named after that. And then it just was like just whirlwind of emotions.
Aww.
But, so like those were personal things.
Yeah.
I cried in this because this is devastating.
Yeah,
Because,
definitely not personal, thankfully.
It's about the Holocaust. And, like, I'm not Jewish. And, like, none of my ancestors were in areas where they would have been dealing with the Nazis and what they did. Because, one, most of my family had already come to America at that point. Because, like, even my Italian ancestors came in, like, the the teens and the 20s. Okay. So, and, like, my grandfather fought in World War II. But it's the kind of thing where it's just, like, on this journey that, and what I love most about this show is going on like a real journey through a director's career. Okay. And seeing how things evolve. And I feel like Spielberg's first real attempt at a heavy drama was The Color Purple. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel right. Because, like, it's not really his story to tell. Yeah. This is very personal, as he is a Jewish American, and, like, this spoke to him, and you can tell.
And he's also, what, in his mid-70s at this point?
Probably, yeah.
So he probably had parents, or, you know, like, he had a much more direct connection than I think, like, you or I might, because we're both, like, 30. Mm-hmm. And...
Because, like, my grandfather, who I grew up with, fought in World War II. Mm-hmm. So, like, he wouldn't even talk about it. Yeah. Like, very, very rarely would even talk about it. And we didn't watch these kinds of movies together. We watched, like, The Great Escape and Patton together. He couldn't even watch Saving Private Ryan because these movies are too real. Yeah. And it was interesting because I looked up some backstory with this. They had been planning on making a film about Oskar Schindler's Jews since the 60s.
Whoa, really?
So, like, they had...
I didn't know that.
The idea for this film had started, like, coming around. But then there was a book, a memoir written about this. And Spielberg bought the rights to it. But the thing is, he kept pushing and, like, he didn't want to be the one to direct it because he didn't feel like he was ready. And I find it so interesting that he did this as the next film he filmed after Jurassic Park.
Just really going big tonal shifts.
Yep. And they wound up coming out in the same year because obviously the post-production of Jurassic Park was a lot longer than this movie.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like all the special effects and everything. He was even editing that film while in Poland filming this film. So, like, he was supervising from, like, across the world. Yeah. And they both came out in the same year. They both combined won 10 Oscars. And Steven Spielberg won Best Director for Schindler's List. This won Best Picture. Beating, like, The Fugitive, The Piano, In the Name of the Father. Some big films. But, like, I think the closest one to hit on, like, a broad scale like this is In the Name of the Father, which is about the IRA and, like, Irish independence and stuff like that. But, like, this is about the Holocaust. And it's kind of like, You have The Fugitive, which is, I love that movie. It is a great film. But then you have Schindler's List, and it's kind of like...
There's no comparison, in my opinion.
No, and this won Best Score. Like, John Williams won for this and wasn't even nominated for Jurassic Park, which is crazy. But, like, you could definitely tell the big difference in score is because, like, generally John Williams' score is big, it's sprawling, there's a lot of emotion to it. This is a very somber, very strings-heavy kind of score, and it's very emotional.
Yeah, it's very depressing.
Like,
very depressing.
The violin that comes in during this film at key points, just late, like, between that and Liam Neeson's acting in that last scene, just like, nope, well, here they come.
I cried into, how do you say Gregor, the baby Yoda?
Grogu.
I like, my boyfriend calls him Baby Eustace, and I like that the best. Anyway, I cried into Baby Eustace's little face.
Yeah. And Liam Neeson got nominated for his only Oscar, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because, like...
He's a hottie, Liam Neeson.
He was a tall drink of water back in 1993.
He still is.
And he's like...
Technically.
He's like towering over everybody in this movie. He even makes... Ray Fiennes look a little short. And, like, Ray Fiennes is a good 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
And Liam Neeson lost to Tom Hanks for Philadelphia, which was, like, his first big Oscar, and then he won the next year for Forrest Gump. And then Ray Fiennes lost as Amon Goth to Tommy Lee Jones from The Fugitive, which... They are very different performances, and Tommy Lee Jones is amazing in The Fugitive. It's just odd comparison.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Schindler's List, in my opinion, has held up the best out of those movies.
Have you watched The Fugitive?
I have, like, a while ago, though.
I think it's...
I might change my opinion if I watched it again today.
It is a great film. It's just... It's hard to compare gravity of performances and direct... Like, there's no doubt that Steven Spielberg should have won Best Director for this. And it's very interesting because he went toe-to-toe with Jane Campion again last year for Best Director, which she actually won her first
she did,
Oscar.
not the hair of the dog.
Power of the Dog.
The Power of the Dog.
And then obviously Spielberg did West Side Story.
Yeah.
But this one... It lost some of the technical stuff, like it lost costumes to Age of Innocence, which is the only Oscar that Scorsese film won, which is so interesting because you could have potentially had a Scorsese-Spielberg competition for Best Director, but I think Age of Innocence kind of flew under the radar more, because it's not one of his best films. And, like, if he wasn't going to win for Goodfellas, I don't think he was going to win for Age of Innocence, especially not against Schindler's List.
Yeah. I feel like we're sort of dancing around, talking around the actual film.
Well, no, I'm trying to set some of the context and stuff like that, because, like, not every one of these films actually has, like, a deep, like, rooted in, like, awards stuff. Because, like, this was a very well-renowned film at the time and made, I think it was over $300 million worldwide.
Whoa.
Which was chump change compared to Spielberg's other movie that made 3 times as much with dinosaurs in it. Surprise. But... I feel like, I guess, Paige, what are some of the things that really stood out to you about the film?
Oh my god. I don't even know where to start, honestly. I think, like, it's so disturbing on so many levels. I think when we were watching, you were talking about this almost, like, documentary style, like, shaky cam which I feel like, I feel like that's very popular now, but wasn't, definitely wasn't as popular 30 years ago.
It's very interesting because this was a drastic shift for Spielberg too, technically, because this was his first collaborations with Janz Kaminsky, the cinematographer.
Oh, okay.
Who brought that very, like, handheld cam, very intimate feel to it. Because this is the kind of film, like you brought up with the documentarian style of it, is there's one particular scene that sticks out to me is you have Schindler going to the train station to get his basically manager who runs his whole entire operation, which is Ben Kingsley's character. Yeah. Because he didn't have his work papers and gets put on a train to get taken to a concentration camp. And he gets them off the train and they're walking out. But then the camera stops. It doesn't follow them anymore. It starts following all the suitcases. And they get taken to a warehouse. And then you see a pile of shoes. And then you see a pile of gold. And then you just see all those things that they did to people's stuff. And it's so fascinating because, like, if you're treating this like a narrative film, you wouldn't take the time to do those kinds of things. But this isn't just about Oscar Schindler, and it's not just about the horrible things that Amon Goth did. It's really about, like, trying to make a well-rounded representation of everything that happened in the Holocaust. Because you use Oscar Schindler as a framing device a lot of the times, and, like, there's two other sequences in the film. Like, one is the ransacking of the ghetto, because you have Schindler riding his horse and stops on top of this hill and is watching this whole entire
with, like,
thing.
one of his many.
I think
hoes.
Was it his wife?
No, I think it was one of his many.
Whoa, we will get to how much of a hoe Oscar Schindler is. But that sequence, and, like, that's the iconic sequence with the girl in the little red coat, which.
And then you see her dead body later.
You know what?
Fun.
That was another scene I actually teared up. Because when you see her in that wheelbarrow dead, and that is the moment that Schindler's perspective completely changes. Because he remembered seeing her. And
so do you, obviously, because it's the only bit of color in the movie.
And Spielberg did that on purpose to help guide us through Schindler's progression as a character, because it is such an anchoring moment, but it goes off from his perspective, and we go through all the things that are going on in this ghetto, from the little kid trying to run away and the guy trying to distract them from the kid, and the one Nazi just shoots the guy and shoots a woman right behind him who did nothing, and they're just left there. And that brutality is so unexpected in, like, a Spielberg movie, because like, you don't really see stuff like that. And it was so funny because Matt and I were talking about restraint in Jurassic Park, because you don't really see a whole lot of, like, the really bad stuff. Yeah,
it's very much in Jurassic Park. It's very much implied.
Here, you see all of it, and that's the point.
It's so graphic. Like, there's tons of, like, very graphic violence, like, very graphic, like, I'm not being salacious, I'm saying it's, like, very graphic, like, nudity to show you, like, how they were, like, abusing and starving all of these people. Like, it's nauseating.
Yeah, because there is quite a bit of nudity in this, because one, you have all the, and we can talk a little bit about, like, Oscar Schindler wasn't the best person.
He was a thought.
Yeah.
If he wasn't Oscar Schindler and, like, single-handedly saved all these people, he would be in horny jail. But he gets to stay out of horny jail.
He was sleeping all around.
Oh my god!
And, like, there's not a lot of humor in this film. And there probably shouldn't be. But one point that did get me, like, to chuckle a bit internally was the moment where his wife tells him, like, I'll stay if I'm the only one that's going to be with you. Cut. She's on the train.
Hard cut. She's gone.
And it's just like, there you go. Got that. And because he's such a charming character, too, because he just schmoozes the hell out of everybody.
He would have monkeypox. If he was in 2022, he would have monkeypox.
He's the Richard Dawson of today, of this Holocaust movie, because, like, every vaguely attractive woman comes near him, just kisses her right on the mouth. Just, like, nothing stopping him.
Not just... in fact, he gets thrown in actual jail for a hot second because he kisses a Jewish woman, and one of the Nazi officers is like, no.
Has to basically, like, bribe his way out of it.
Yeah.
He couldn't even stop himself in front of all those Nazis. He's just like, yep, I'm gonna kiss this Jewish woman.
Literally in horny jail. Yep. Literally in horny jail.
He got put in jail for being horny. But the point is, like, he has multiple sex scenes, and they're pretty graphic. Like, the women, at least, you see completely full frontal nudity and everything. And then the rest of the nudity in the film is used in such a disturbing way. Because
Yeah.
you have Helen, who's the maid who works for Amongoth, and one of the most disturbing scenes in this whole entire movie, and this is definitely what got Ralph Fiennes nominated for this Oscar, is because he's perverse. And
to say the least.
Yeah, to the point, like, and on some level, he really wants to have sex with her, and then, like, she's in a wet white shirt, and, like, you could see her nipples through the shirt and stuff like that, and he's just uncomfortably touching her.
It's so not sexy at all, though.
No,
like,
it is uncomfortable.
It's horrible, yeah.
And then he stops himself, and then convinces himself that she came on to him, and then he beats her.
And she doesn't say a word.
No.
Through this whole scene, she's just like...
Yeah, and I 100% believe that actor should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah, like oh my god.
Like, not only did she not get nominated, but like a literal child won Best Supporting Actress at that year's Oscars for The Piano, Anna Paquin, who's great in that. But like, this woman should have got some recognition. But like, and then the scene, besides the ransacking of the ghetto, the other very documentary type scene is them stripping and testing all the adults and stealing all the children. And God, they're so stripping everybody naked. And you see because here's the thing. There's a difference between gratuitous sexual nudity in a movie and just there's a lot of nudity. And it's disturbing in that way because they're dehumanizing them, stripping them naked like cattle, and are just like going up and down being like, are you fit to work?
No, let's just fucking kill you if you're not. Like, it's very disturbing. Like, total opposite of sexy. I mean, you couldn't get further away from sexual nudity.
Well, and it's a progression, too, because at one point, Oscar Schindler kind of just stopped sleeping around. And it's interesting because we watched this on a DVD. It cuts at 2 hours and 15 minutes. And then there's 1 hour left on the second disc. That last hour is...
He's not a hoe anymore, you're right.
That's like that cutoff point. And you get this whole entire sequence. And even down to the little details of like they were pricking themselves to draw blood to rouge up their faces to make them not look sickly. Yeah. Because if they were too sickly, they would get sent and die. Yeah. And along with that, there's just the amount of just brutal executions in this film, like that young woman who was an engineer.
It's like constant, like people are constantly just getting shot in the head. Yep. And there's blood and you see everything.
And it's uncomfortably realistic too, because like even her death specifically, she gets shot in the back of the head and her head smacks against the ground and like shoots up and you're just like yeah, they put a lot of detail in that. And then probably the most horrific scene in this whole entire movie is the very realistic props that they use for dead bodies that they pile up and burn. And that whole entire sequence, and that's the sequence that breaks Oscar Schindler too. Because that's the point where that scene ends with those wheelbarrows coming up and you see the little girl in red dead and covered in like mud and stuff like that, and you're just like...
And that was the scene too where that scene is so good, like amazing, like perfect, like 10 out of 10. Not the vibes, but the execution. Bad choice of words. How they implemented.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
So no, but it because Ralph Fiennes' character is just like, oh my god, don't they know enough to deal with without burning all these corpses? And then there's that other Nazi who's like losing his shit in the background, like screaming and like shooting into the pile of corpses. I don't know if he's enjoying himself or not. And then Oscar Schindler is just like standing there, like you can see he's just like blue screening, like what the fuck.
Yeah, Liam Neeson's acting is amazing in that scene, and he doesn't really say much either. No. And just that last shot of him with like his handkerchief over his mouth, like you could tell he's on the brink of just breaking down.
As anyone would be.
But it's so uncomfortably, weirdly relatable of like Amongoth is just so disconnected from this because he's just like, can you believe My boss is like, all the other stuff that I have to do, he piles this on top of me too. And it's like one of those weird kinds of things where it's like, we've all dealt with that. Mm-hmm. And then the scene's so disturbing because the thing that they're asking him to do is burning corpses.
Yeah.
And it's just like...
It's like a mountain behind them.
Yeah,
like, it's... Yeah. And you can see other people, like, having mental breakdowns in the background. And, like, the Jewish prisoners shoveling these corpses are obviously extremely distressed. And Oscar Schindler's like... And he's just like, oh, I hate Mondays. Like, girl, I don't know.
And... Before getting into specifically some of the characters, because I think talking about both Schindler and Goth, but like Janz Kaminsky, who has basically DP'd every single Steven Spielberg movie since.
DP'd?
Director of photography.
Oh, okay.
Movie language. So the cinematographer, he's done the photography on almost every single Spielberg movie after this.
Oh, okay.
And you'll notice that in this part of his career, the aesthetic of his films change. Because, like, if you watch anything early 2000s between AI, Minority Report, and War of the Worlds, there's this weird, like, bright lights and stuff like that, and it's a very weird feeling. That's Janz Kaminsky. And here, it's just a very stark black and white. Mm-hmm. And it's beautiful. This won Best Cinematography, which it 100% should have.
Yeah, totally.
And the way that they just frame everything, like that shot, just how they frame it with that whole entire mountain of burning corpses, just while this dialogue's going on in front. But what's so interesting because like Liam Neeson, I think it's hard for a lot of people today to be like, Liam Neeson's a great actor. Because, like...
Stop! I still have always thought that.
No, I feel like a lot of people who only know him for Taken. Mm-hmm. And Taken on a Plane. Taken in the Woods.
He's good at Taken.
Which, that's the thing. I don't think he gets enough credit anymore. Because, not gonna lie, his performance in The Grey, in particular, is amazing. There's a particular scene where he's literally yelling at God. And...
Haven't we all?
And I'm like, see, most people just think this is Taken with Wolves, and that's such a disservice to this movie because they probably didn't see this and see that kind of performance. But he was nominated for Best Actor for this, and there's a reason. The way he carries himself, there's a swagger about him, there's a confidence about him, and this character of Oscar Schindler, who we already talked about his hoeing it up.
He's a thought.
But oddly, this might be one of the best representations of like a capitalist in the history of film.
Oh my god! See, I didn't hear. He's like, can't wait to talk about how good capitalism is.
Well, no, it's like it's very odd that it would take a film like Schindler's List to show like a good representation of a businessman.
The one good thing capitalism has ever done.
Like outside of like George Bailey from like It's a Wonderful Life, it's Schindler's List. And
that's a take. I don't think I've ever heard that take, Shane. Holy shit.
And like he used capitalism to save all these people's lives because he just used his immense wealth that he just kept. Because like he was a war profiteer. Yeah. He was making a ton of money off of it.
He's wearing fur, like, and you see over the course of the film, like he starts to wear like fur coats. Yeah. He looks like a pimp. Like the stereotypical representation of a pimp.
Not gonna lie. Yeah. Probably looked kind of like that one scene in Seinfeld where Kramer's wearing a giant fur coat and stuff, like walking down the street.
He looks ridiculous. He looks ridiculous. Yeah. Honestly.
But like, that is what the turn makes this so poignant at the end when he's just like, I threw away so much money. Mm-hmm. Like, he took off his Nazi pin and was like, this could have been two. At least one other person.
Oh my god, you're gonna make me cry again. Don't make me think about that scene. And he like literally just like falls down on top of poor Ben Kingsley, who is like a foot shorter than him.
Is the most steadfast, anchoring performance in this movie. Mm-hmm. And I don't think he gets enough credit because his performance is so subtle. But like, I don't think this film would work without him. Yeah. He really is like the bedrock to the film. Yeah. And then it gives that opportunity for Schindler to be a bigger, larger-than-life character, and then to have that breakdown at the end of the film. And it was funny because like we're watching this with my wife, Jess, and she's just like, hey,
your wife! Oh. Sorry, I'm still happy about that.
And she's just like, and he didn't win the Oscar, why? And I'm just like...
Right?
Which the thing is, it's like, Tom Hanks deserved an award for his great performance in Philadelphia.
I guess.
But it's hard to watch this movie and not think, like, how didn't this win all of them?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, it feels like it's on a different playing field. And...
Totally.
I can definitely see where maybe the Academy was so focused on the filmmaking between Williams' score and the cinematography and the art design and production design and Spielberg's direction that they didn't really think too deeply into the performances. But I feel like
Well, then they're fucking dumb. I'm sorry.
Like, both Neeson and Fiennes got nominated for Oscars, but, like, I feel like they got underappreciated, especially Neeson, because I almost I thought that he didn't get nominated for a second, but like he did. He even was nominated against Daniel Day-Lewis and he didn't win, which that's a whole entire crazy other story.
Yeah, seriously.
But like, he is incredible in this. And then Ralph Fiennes, years before he was Voldemort and became like the villain of so many people's childhoods.
They're only his only two roles, this and Voldemort.
He honestly should have been nominated for way more Oscars than just this. And I'm looking at the Academy who didn't nominate him for Grand Budapest Hotel because Gustav H. was amazing.
He's so not...
Chef's
I mean,
kiss.
I don't like Wes Anderson, as you know, so I'm not referencing that. But no, he's so fucking scary in this movie. Like, I just like... It's so hard to make a three-dimensional villain who isn't also like have you ever heard the phrase Draco in leather pants? Like that trope? Where it's like, you know how people like will get horny for like a villain because like, oh, he's so damaged.
This
like,
is like,
this is that.
This is a deep, complex character, but you do not like him.
Oh my god.
In any way, shape, or form.
It's so hard to do, I feel like. I feel like it's either two-dimensional or it's like, oh, look at this poor dude. Don't you want to suck his dick and listen to him cry? Like, no.
And like, the issue
No.
with him is that there is some deep-seated, messed up perspectives in his head. He's obviously dealing with a lot of things, and just
he's working through some stuff.
And like that scene with him and his maid is just encompasses this crazy character that he has to portray. And like, I can't imagine like. Because, like, Ralph Fiennes has played some dark characters. Like I mentioned, like, he's Voldemort, so he's, like,
literally Voldemort.
And he was Francis Dollarhide in Red Dragon.
Oh, I forgot about that, yeah.
He's great in that, but he is...
That movie sucks. He's great, yeah. I'll agree with you.
Brett Ratner is a very, like, mediocre director.
Snore.
But literally calling him mediocre as you were
I
mocking
know.
what I was saying.
I'm not mocking you. I'm agreeing with you. I was like, yeah, we're in this together.
There's elements of that film that work way better than others, and he's just like in a whole other movie that he deserves to be in. With
Red Dragon, you mean?
Yeah, I wish like Jonathan Demme directed Red Dragon and still had Ralph Fiennes doing that performance in it because it's disturbing.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know, recently it's like. I loved him popping up in James Bond as M. I just think that he's, like, perfect for that. But, like, this is one of the most disturbing, complex things he's ever had to do as an actor. And he really sells it. Like, uncomfortably sells it.
It's really, yeah, I don't know, like, the scene, you know, your introductory scene to him is that he's just, like, sniping... like Jewish prisoners off the roof.
That is...
Which is like, you know, obviously horrific. But then the last time you see him you see him get executed real fast. But then the second to last time you see him is when all of the Jewish prisoners are about to be deported to Auschwitz and like all killed. And I like my interpretation, you know, his maid who he like has these weird feelings for was also going to be sent with them, and I think he sends her with Oskar Schindler instead of shooting her in the woods. Like, those were sort of the two options they discussed. Because he was like, well, I don't want her to go there. Like, it's a mercy kill.
And, like, Schindler comes to him and he's like, I want your mate.
Yeah.
Because I can't find anyone better than her. And he's like, no. And, like, you see that, like, knee-jerk reaction of, like, no, she's mine.
Yeah, it's gross.
And it is disgusting that, like, overcomes him in that moment. It's just like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
But, like, just that performance, and there's so many... You don't really spend a whole lot of time getting to know their names and stuff like that, but there's specific Jewish characters throughout this film that we follow.
Yeah.
Like, there's a mother and her daughter. The daughter has, like, glasses on and stuff like that. We see her pop up a lot.
Yeah.
Helen, and then all the movies that I watch and all the stuff that I do, I'm actually terrible at character names. Ben Kingsley's character.
I know, I just remember the actors. I'm like, Ben Kingsley, yeah.
They're one of the only two that you really spend time with and get to know, like, their names, or you should get to know their names, unless you're me.
Unless you don't remember anything.
And then it's just, like, it's really interesting because Spielberg doesn't have to spell it out for you. You see them popping up in scene to scene, and you see their reactions to these different things. Like, one of the most heartbreaking things is when all the women who are slowly putting their clothes back on after they're determined that they can continue to work, they're elated. And then all of a sudden those trucks drive by with all their children. And then they just start swarming the trucks. And, like, it's devastating.
It's so horrible.
And because, you know, they don't have use for the children.
Yeah, like, and we know and they know where those kids are going.
And it's tragic. And this film has such an interesting ending because it does feel like a documentary ending when they have the actors and the characters that they played, those who are still alive, coming and putting
30
walks.
years ago, still alive.
Yes. I doubt any of them are still alive at this point. If they are, good for them.
I hope. Yeah. We'd love to see it.
They're putting those stones on Oskar Schindler's grave and just this parade of them, and it's such an emotional ending and a perfect ending to this film. And Spielberg doesn't go this hard that often. Like, you have Saving Private Ryan. I would even put Munich in this because, like, that's a dark movie. It's a different kind of dark. It's a really intense thriller dealing with terrorists and stuff like that. Terrorist bombings at the Olympics and stuff like that. But, like, there's very few films that Spielberg doesn't go full whimsical at times and stuff like that. Because, you know, this is the man that made the Indiana Jones films and Jaws and E.T. and
he does love some whimsy, definitely.
And, like, he's a big genre filmmaker, but, like, when he goes hard on these dramas, he really delivers.
It's like, I feel like I got kicked in the sternum, you know?
But I guess, Paige, are there any other things that you wanted to bring up about the film?
Oh my god. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It was very depressing. We cried a lot. I think, as you were mentioning, like, the end, where it switches to, like, real life, you know, and there's a little blurb that's like, in 1993, I assume, there were less than 4,000 Jews in Poland, and then the next blurb is like, there are over, like, 6,000 descendants of the Schindler Jews, which is like this one dude was just, he saved all those people. Like, I mean, I'm sure it's, obviously the statistics are different now, but it's like, I don't know, and I feel like learning that information, like, the real life information, it just makes you want to cry all over again seeing, like, Liam Neeson's breakdown at the end, because it's like, bro, like, you saved 1,100 people, like, it's fine. It's fine. Oh, God.
It's a lot more than a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean...
Like, how many people in history can be like, I saved 1,100 people's lives?
Yeah,
directly. And it's so interesting because he's not the best person.
He's a hoe.
Yeah, like, and it even said he failed at his marriage after the events of this film.
Well, okay, who could blame her, though?
Yeah, she probably should have left him a lot longer before that. I think it was odd, like, I feel like on some level she was kind of living in denial, or at least just living with it.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe she was like, hey, if he's going to treat me like crap like this, at least I'm going to use his money.
Sure, why not? That's fair.
Why not? Honestly, I wouldn't blame her at that point.
No, I mean...
Because he was very obviously hoeing it up with, like, every woman around
him. It was... Yeah, monkeypox, that's all I'm gonna say.
Then he had failed businesses after this, and he died at 66 years old. But, like, it's interesting because this film shows that anybody can do a great thing. And you don't have to be a perfect person. But if you could do something like that and make this lasting of impression... Because, like, if you saved all those lives, think of all the good those people did. And that ripple effect of... Because, like, it said 6,000 descendants. You would expect it to be more now.
Yeah, 30 years later.
More now, and more now.
All those people who wouldn't exist if Oscar Schindler hadn't done what he did.
And then just had a whole grouping of kids, probably.
Yeah.
And then that number is just going to keep growing from that. And... I think that's really impressive, and occasionally throughout the film, Spielberg did drop in text about specific things, in which I never really thought about this, because like technically it is a narrative film. This is not a documentary, but like it feels like it's a strange hybrid of both.
It does. It's very weird, like, but it doesn't seem out of place in the moment, like the little blurbs, but then in retrospect, you're like, that's actually kind of an unusual choice. I think it works.
It feels like it's like, I am watching a documentary, except these are all, it feels like a 3 hour and 15-minute dramatization of real events. Yeah. And obviously they dramatize certain things, but like, it still is shot like a documentary. It has sequences that you would only find in a documentary, and it's framed in that way. And I think that's bold and interesting, and I think the last thing that I want to say, and I keep reiterating this on this show because I've been through all these films of his, Spielberg never gets enough credit for being a true auteur filmmaker. Because you just assume he makes blockbuster movies. He makes E.T., he makes Jaws and stuff like that. Nobody could make those movies like that. And like, there's a level of technical prowess that he brings to his work that just, he's, like, I feel like people just brush him off as like, yeah, he's like Michael Bay and, you know, and people that just make like big blockbuster movies. Like, no, this is one of the greatest directors of all time.
Michael Bay could never make Schindler's List, and I would hate to see him try. Please don't, Michael Bay, don't do it.
The closest that he's ever gotten to making like a serious movie is Pain and Gain, and that's the closest I ever want him to come.
Yeah, just
to anything like that.
Stay in your lane, Michael Bay. Stay in your lane.
Because the thing is, it's like, it's so interesting because in context, Spielberg, Lucas, Coppola, and Scorsese and De Palma all came up together. And obviously, two of them are still defining cinema. And it's Scorsese and Spielberg. They just choose different kinds of projects. You're not going to see Scorsese making Ready Player One.
Thank God.
I wish that Spielberg didn't make it either, because it's mediocre at best adaptation of that book, which honestly probably should not have been made into a movie.
Hot take.
It's just a giant book of pop culture references, and it's a hard thing to work.
And that'll age so quickly. Worked. Like, it'll be out of date in a year.
Well, that's why they even updated things in the movie. And, like, he chose different things than in the book. I'm still mad that he cut out. And when I get to this episode of the show, you'll hear all about how pissed off I am that he didn't include any Rush in the movie when it's, like, a key part of the book. But that's
Canceling Steven Spielberg.
But the thing is, like, Scorsese picks very specific projects. And they're all very serious. And that's what he does. Like, he'll occasionally make a dark comedy, like After Hours and something like that. But, like, and even, like, The King of Comedy, which is, like, a pitch black comedy. Because, like, that's
I know, I almost hesitate to call it a comedy.
It's very dark.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because Spielberg could keep doing this, and it's
Wait, Spielberg directed The King of Comedy?
Oh, sorry, like, no, Scorsese did. Like,
I was like, wait, what?
Scorsese will occasionally do, like, dark comedies and stuff like that, but usually it's very intense, dark films and subject matters.
Yeah.
Spielberg does all kinds of things. He directed Tintin. And that's a crazy fun time. But, like, you're not... The closest time that Scorsese will ever and has ever come to doing something like Steven Spielberg is Hugo. And even Hugo is a love letter to cinema. Like, I learned who George Méliès was because of a family movie from Martin Scorsese. So, like...
Hey.
There you go. But I'm excited to see, because, like... The next movie that I have coming up is Lost World Jurassic Park, which is very interesting that he had, like, a dinosaur sandwich with Schindler's List.
With Holocaust mayonnaise.
Yep.
Ugh.
And then you have, like, Amistad, and then Saving Private Ryan, and then Artificial Intelligence, which was a bold choice. Like, Kubrick didn't make it. I'm going to make it.
Well, yeah, I mean, Kubrick clearly can't handle it, so...
Well, he didn't get to make it because he died.
No, I know, he died. Well, he couldn't handle it. He died from the strain of making Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah, I don't think he could have handled like that movie. The fact that took a whole year to shoot.
Okay, we're getting off topic here. Can we share our final Schindler thoughts? Because I feel like that's where this was heading.
Yes.
It's your show, though. We can talk about whatever you want. No, there were two, I will finish my thoughts with two little quotes from the movie that I really liked, where the first thing is, Liam Neeson is like, well, war is horrible, like, it just makes everyone bad, like, it just turns everyone bad, but, like, I had to chuckle when he said that, because it's like, clearly that's not true, If World War II hadn't happened, Oskar Schindler would probably just be some dumb thought, running around Berlin. But instead, he's like a true Jewish icon. Like, I forget what terminology they used, but they called him like a righteous person or something like that.
And that's very true. And I think that's a very interesting point, Paige, because, like, it did shape him for the better to have to see those horrors, which, like, it's very sad that it took that, but sometimes it does. Yeah,
and, like, obviously, I think if you could ask him, he would say, I wish the Holocaust never happened. Like, I don't, but it's so interesting. He's so convicted in that, and it's ironic because it's like, it brings out the best in him. Mm-hmm. And then in the last part, we're like, I feel I'm going to cry just talking about this, where, Schindler's about to evacuate because the Allies are coming, and Ben Kingsley gives him the ring that they made, and he's like, whoever saves the life of one man saves the world entire. It's like, like, because it's true, like, literally and figuratively, that's true. Like, you save one man, that means you save his children and his children's children, which is literally what he did. Yeah. But then it's also like, I think he's also saying it to try to alleviate the obvious guilt that Oskar Schindler feels. He's like, I couldn't save anymore. It's like, you did. He risked his own life. Like, you did all you could without dying yourself. Ugh. I'm so upset.
Do you think Schindler dropped the ring, or do you think Liam Neeson dropped the ring and they went with it?
I looked this up on IMDb. It is the latter. Liam Neeson dropped the ring and they went with it.
Oh, that was perfect.
It was so
Happy
good, right?
Accidents. Because, like, you could see him trembling and, like, drops the ring. Like, and then he's, like, nervously trying to grab it, too. And just, like...
It's a perfect moment.
Happy accident.
Yeah.
And Spielberg knows a thing or two about happy accidents, because, like, Jaws is, like, just one giant happy accident. But, like, that scene that moment is so great. And
it's emotionally, like, devastating. Like, I cried. I'll admit it.
My last thought is, this should be shown to everybody. Mm-hmm. And if it's no longer part of curriculum when people learn about the Holocaust in high school and stuff like that, and if you don't have the Holocaust in your curriculum anymore for all students, what the F's wrong with you? And I'm going to leave it at that, because you're a piece of shit if it's not.
Yeah, if you deny the Holocaust, stop watching this channel and go get some help. I know it's your channel, but I feel comfortable saying that.
I agree. And that is approved by the Wasteland Reviewer. We don't put up with that here at the Wasteland Reviewer YouTube channel.
No.
So... go watch this movie if you haven't. At some point, you have to be a certain age, I feel like, to watch this movie.
And be in a good headspace too. Like, make sure, like, take care of yourself afterwards. It's really devastating.
Go pet a cat or play with a puppy or something. Mm-hmm. But the last segment on this show is recommendations. So, Paige, what would you like to recommend?
Oh man, okay, I'm gonna recommend this in hopes that someone else will watch this fucking show. One of my friends actually has already seen it, but it's a show on HBO called Carnivale, and it's so It's so fucked up. And no one I know has ever even heard of it or seen it other than my one friend. But if you have HBO Max, go watch it. Don't thank me, because you won't thank me. You'll be like, why did I listen to Paige and watch this? I regret it. So that's my recommendation for the week. Yep. Mm-hmm. I think you would like it.
From 2003 to 2005.
You should watch it.
So this is like early.
This is early HBO. It's
Clancy
good.
Brown's in it.
Yeah, he's the villain. He's good.
Oh, he is a great villain.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Nick Stahl's in this.
Dude, it's so creepy. It's so creepy.
I'll have to add this to my watch list.
I love the like evil. I'll leave it here with spoilers. I love the evil priest trope, and he's evil.
Evil.
And he's a priest. Well, what if you're Methodist? Why are you a minister? Evil minister. Sinister minister.
There you go. I'm confirmed Roman Catholic. I had priests. So.
Papist.
Baby. Learn that from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Which is a great film, but that's not what I'm recommending.
Yeah,
but I definitely do want to check out Carnivale then.
You have oh my god
on my watch list.
Yes, because you watch Evil, and you're the only person I know who watches Evil. So if you watch Carnivale, I will die. Thank you.
We'll have to do a season 3 wrap up episode or something on my channel because
I just knocked something off in my sorry.
There goes my Godfather poster.
Sorry. I was so exasperated I knocked it off.
But my recommendation is the new Hulu original film Prey, which, fun little fact why this is a Hulu original, is because Fox had to deal with HBO and Warner Brothers to release all their films when they got out of theaters on the HBO and HBO Max.
Okay.
And that deal came over to Disney, and Disney's petty. And they're just like, we're going to release this on Hulu instead of theaters so Warner Brothers doesn't get access to it.
Yikes.
I'm like, wow.
Petty wop.
And obviously, a lot of people might construe why it was put on here because it's about indigenous people, which I guess could have been too. But this is a Predator prequel set hundreds of years before the first Predator movie, which Predator is one of the best subversions of 80s action movies ever made because it's a whole bunch of biggest macho 80s action heroes getting absolutely demolished by an alien who hunts the most dangerous predators in space. And apparently a predator came in I think it was 1700s. Because, like, this is still, like, French people, like, encroaching upon, like, the Native Americans' territory in this.
Oh,
and
the French cheese-eating surrender monkeys. No, I don't know. I don't care about the French.
And this is a Comanche tribe and a young woman played by Amber Midthunder. Cool name.
I love that. Is that her real name?
Yeah.
I love that.
And she is she's training herself to be a warrior, but doesn't really get taken seriously in her tribe because her brother's like the big warrior in the tribe. But she realizes she sees like a thunderbird in the sky. And it's a predator ship.
Yikes.
And then she starts to notice that finding this weird green goo and these strange tracks that do not look like bear tracks, and they're humongous. So she starts hunting the predator, and seeing this film taking place in this time period with the predator fights a grizzly bear at one point, and it's crazy.
That's cool.
Yeah, this is the most imaginative and fresh take on Predator. Like, none of the sequels, none of them, have anything on this movie. This is a great follow-up. And what I think is cool is because the action's so much more interesting, too, because, one, the humans don't have guns. Like, the French people have muskets. You got one shot off, and then you have to wait, like, a couple minutes trying to refill the... But, like, it's a bunch of indigenous people fighting with arrows and tomahawks and stuff like that against a predator. Mm-hmm. Who also is hundreds of years behind the Predator that we saw in the original. And this Predator's using, like, metal arrows and stuff like that. So there's a lot more hand-to-hand combat, which is really cool in this. It is one of the best action movies that's come out this year. I'm sad I didn't see it on a big screen, because it could have been really cool. But, like, I'll take it. If that's what got this released on being on Hulu, I'll take it. And if you're a huge fan of action movies and love Predator... This is, like, the only great Predator sequel or prequel.
Okay. Well, I still have your Hulu password, so I think I'll watch it when I get home.
It gets bloody and gory just like the original Predator movie.
Oh my god, I've never seen blood before.
This is for... If I'm gonna recommend something, I want to warn people.
I don't know why do you keep having me on your fucking channel, Shane.
Because you're awesome.
Oh, thank you, sir.
And eventually we'll figure out what movie you want to do next for your next interview after we did Phantom.
Yeah, I have lots of thoughts. I love many. I'll watch anything, right? I'll watch anything you
That is very true because we watched some trash last time we had trash. I love trash. Nom trash.
We were just little trash babies.
Yeah, that was not a great day for movie watching. Sometimes it's just like, yeah, this is a bunch of crap.
The three of us also ate like a whole pizza, I think, or like calzones or something, and then also ice cream. Like it was disgusting. It was a disgusting day.
It's not that out of the realm for me. So
well, yeah, but I mean, like I also had candy at the movies. I don't know. I felt disgusting, like mentally and physically after that day, but I loved it.
When it comes down to it, check out Carnivale on, I guess, HBO Max would be the place to find it at this point. Maybe that'll be different in a year. I'm going to have a whole video on what the hell Warner Brothers is doing with all their crap coming up. Because Discovery is shaking some stuff up. But also check out Prey on Hulu. But that is another episode of Welcome to the Wasteland. And Paige, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's always fun. Can't get rid of me, either of you.
And next time you'll be checking out Welcome to the Wasteland is Lost World Jurassic Park with my pal Luke from Sif Pop. And then the following one will be Foster, one of my most regular people to pop up on my channel, who will be joining for Amistad, which is a first-time watch for me because I've never actually seen that one.
Cool.
But thank all of you for always tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.